Hey everybody, what's up and welcome back to the Starcraft 2 Onachak. It is David here bringing you Master League Quest episode 34, and of course it's time for one of those all too common apologies now. Unfortunately, I mentioned, I believe in my last cast, it was in February, it was so long ago, that this semester was just completely hectic, and basically that assumption held true. It's just been insane. I don't think I've ever had this much work in my life. And so basically I haven't had much time to play, let alone cast. I have played a few games here and there throughout Season 6, I think that's what we're on. But overall it's definitely not enough to get me into Master League or to really improve my skill level. And this game here was played in a series of 5 games I played last night. Basically, these were the first games I had played in probably about a month. And so you're going to see quite rusty gameplay here. This is a Terran versus Zerg, and it is on this map, Korhal Compound, I believe is what it's called. But yeah, so don't expect to see anything completely stellar. I actually was playing quite well a month ago, because I was playing somewhat regularly. There was a little bit of a lull in the work at that point, but then it just came right back, and I sort of fell off again and became very rusty. So there's really quite a bit of shakiness and discomfort to sort of get rid of here before I'm going to actually be at the level of, just in terms of APM clicking accuracy and build order memorization, basically of what I had before. So that's kind of where I'm at right now. But you know what, sometimes it's just what you got to go through. I'm sure that once exams are done I will have much more time to play. Just so you know, I am actually taking summer school, but summer school is much less demanding than the regular season, so to speak, simply because engineers have 6 courses, my place, during the regular school year, but in summer school I'll only have 2. Now of course it's much more condensed, so it will actually be more like having 4, but that's fine because that gives me, you know, 2 courses worth of time to actually just play games. So yeah, it should be pretty sick. Should be definitely, I think, prime time for getting Master League, especially with the new maps that are coming out that seem to suit my style a lot more than some of these ones. So I'll be able to veto some of these and accept the new ones. I believe it's going to be Daybreak and Metropolis. Very excited for those. They're both good mech maps. So yeah, I'm pretty stoked for that. Anyway, just to get into my strategy here, I am going to be going for a Reactor Hellion Expand. This is basically a build I saw in the GSL, not the Reactor Hellion Expand. Obviously that's been around for ages. But what I'm going to be doing is a more greedy version of the Reactor Hellion Expand, where I get 2 command centers off of the 1 factory. So it's absolutely fantastic if your opponent doesn't do something like Roach or Baneling bust you. And with scouting, you can pretty much determine that is not going to be coming your way. So that's what I will be doing. As you can see, I threw down the reactor on that barracks. This is very standard here. This is just the typical build. There's nothing different about mine. I'm sure all you Terran players out there who watch this, you've all done this build a million times. Zergs have faced it a million times. Everyone knows all the timings on it. It's very simple. And yeah, so just so you can see, there's an SCV I've left at the top left, where my Zerg opponent will possibly take his 3rd and 4th bases. I just put that there just to scout for any like crazy fast 3rd, because if I see something like that, it'll just make me much more comfortable dropping that command center very quickly, or even doing something like a timing attack. Now, because I am going to be dropping the command center, the 2nd command center I mean, the 2nd expansion, the 3rd command center is what I'm trying to get at here. I will be getting a tech lab onto that barracks, and the reason for the tech lab is basically so that once I've got my 4 Hellions out, I can quickly make a tank with siege mode if necessary to defend against those Roaches or Banelings, because if you don't get that tank, you're just gambling. You're just rolling the dice and hoping that he's not going to come at you with that unit composition. But in reality, it's quite likely, and I think it's important that you have that option open to you just in case he does do it. So as you can see, I am throwing down the 2nd command center. I haven't been able to scout him quite yet, but with the Reactor Hellions, I do hope to glean some sort of information as to whether this is safe. Of course, I can always cancel it, but unfortunately what you really do sacrifice here is the infrastructure. Another mistake I've made simply due to rust is well, okay, first I'll note that I am switching that factory over now, and I will be getting Marines from the barracks on the reactor. But anyway, that rusty mistake, I didn't make that an orbital before I lifted it, so that was quite silly of me. And because I see that he hasn't even gotten spines up yet, being very greedy, I decided to just run up here into his base. He's got double evolution chambers going down. I'm just going to basically roast a bunch of drones. In all honesty, this should never happen. And also, quite frankly, I didn't kill nearly as much here as I could have. I really botched this. I think I could have killed at least 10 more drones if I had lined them up or gotten right onto that stack that I tried there. Just a second too late. I could have done so much more damage. But all the same, I feel very much ahead. And because I killed all those things, I just make a bunch of bunkers, because there's always a good chance that your opponent is going to Baneling bust you after something like that happens. Also notice, I'm not going for mech here, and that wasn't my plan. I actually switched my plan and went for bio, simply because I did so much damage to him. A mech just takes so long to get up into the air, to get off the ground, so to speak, that doing a mech build from here would actually let him rebuild all those drones and be fine against my timing push, which would come in like 10 to 15 minutes from now. That's just too slow. So with the bio-centric play, I can actually launch my push much earlier than I would be able to with mech, and actually kill that potential third base he's going to take. So I throw down 4 more racks. The second gas was very late. Obviously, I'm sure you guys know by now that I am absolutely no master at marine tank play. This is not my style. I have no idea what I'm doing here, build order wise, and in hindsight it might have actually been a better idea simply to just go for mech, but that's just what happens, I guess. So I'm stuck with it right now, and I'm just gonna have to commit to these bio units. So unfortunately, you're gonna see some pretty sloppy bio play coming up here. This is something I actually am quite determined to work on. I think I'm gonna switch into bio, or not just, I don't mean bio, but when I say bio, I'm talking about marine tank style, in this matchup only, for probably at least a week or so. I really want to try and master all styles, not just mech, but in Terran versus Terran, I can promise you that you will only see mech from me, because it is the best strategy. In Terran versus Zerg, though, I am just not too convinced that mech is the best anymore. There's just so many things they can do to abuse you that they're finally learning. Like, Protoss has learned these things ages ago, but Zergs are now catching on to the many severe weaknesses of mech. It's very strong too in Terran vs Zerg, unlike Terran vs Protoss, but it just, man, like, I feel like Zerg has the units that they can force a win anytime when they're facing mech. It's their game to lose, basically. And because I know I just said that I feel like mech is just not good in Terran vs Protoss anymore, ever since they nerfed all these things, Ghosts, Blue Flame Hellions, the Siege Tank nerf in early fall of 2010 was brutal. All these things have just accumulated in mech just not being good anymore. And so basically what I've been doing is practicing my cheeses, like my Marine Siege Tank Banshee cheeses, as well as my straight up bio play. So you're going to see some really new strats from me. These are of course quite standard by the standards of other people that actually play this game for a living. But yeah, you're going to be seeing some bio play, and it's going to be pretty bad at first, but I'm just going to do this so that I actually give myself a shot at getting into Masters, because I feel like right now losing all of my Terran vs Protosses is just not helping my record at all. I mean, I win my Terran vs Terrans and Terran vs Zergs much more often than my TVPs. So it's definitely time to try something new, and hopefully go back to mech once Heart of the Swarm comes out, because as I've said before, I really do think that it's going to make a huge difference. So I scout his third base up there at the top left, and that is going to prompt me to push out. Oh, excuse me. Kind of dry here. Oh. But you might notice that my minerals have stacked up just to insane amounts. This is completely unacceptable. My units are dancing around this weird thing. It's a much better idea to shift queue those things up there rather than to just attack move. But again, sloppy play. So if I had built much more barracks, I would have had more Marines at this point in the game. And also I will be landing that third right now while I'm pushing out. And I see the Zerglings coming on the mini-map, so this is why you build that wall, because it's just so irritating to deal with things like this if you don't have a wall up. it really amazes me how long it took people to catch on to this thing at the pro level. It really didn't pick up until, you know, the game was months into release. So I'll just be stimming forward and taking out this hatchery, leaving a few Marines behind there just in case he has Mutalisks, but I'm pretty sure he doesn't yet, simply because I haven't seen them at my base harassing, and also because of all that early damage I did. But you definitely expect Mutas to be out by this time in any other sort of scenario. Now here's a critical mistake I make. So I kill his hatchery. I left a few Marines back there by accident, so I end up killing Overlords. But what I didn't do was scan ahead of my army. So just watch the minimap right now, and you're going to see what's going to happen here. So basically, a million Zerglings come up. I'm completely unsieged, and he just obliterates my army. There's no chance here. I just get smoldered. And, well, what can you do? You can scan ahead. You can stim Marines to the sides. You can see this coming. You can basically do anything except what I did, which was blindly move my army across the map. And because of that, I'm going to have to lift this up, which I think I did in advance. The armory is coming, so I can get those upgrades, but I have to say, just really throwing the game there. That I had almost a sure win after I killed that third base, but it became an even game because he killed my army. Maybe even in his favor, I'm not sure. And another stupid thing, I assumed he only had Zerglings, and so you'll notice my command center on the minimap is just floating away from a bunch of Mutas, and they kill it. I figured it was completely safe in the air. And no turrets. I just sent all my Marines out in dropships, so I have nothing to deal with the Mutas. And as you can see, this game is turned around in the worst of possible ways in a very short amount of time. So I'll send the siege tanks up here. My turrets aren't even getting up in time. I will deny that base, but at this point I'm just getting obliterated. This is just rough, to put it bluntly. I mean, this is the kind of play you'd expect to see from someone who has not played Marine Tank all that often, and hasn't played Starcraft all that often either. That's of course no excuse, but I do have to let you know that I am not this bad. I get back to my usual self. So I'll drop those two medevacs in the main, the Marines here, just coming out one by one, not doing too much. Unfortunately, he built so many Zerglings that he's able to repel this drop, and I think that he took care of the drop that I sent towards his third base. But, yeah, I'm not quite sure what's going on there. I think... yeah, he definitely killed it. I think the medevac's just chilling up there right now, if I remember correctly. So anyway, yeah, that's another... this is basically a game thrown by me. I mean, I lost my third base, let him get one up, sacked my army for his third, which wasn't a good trade at all. And now with all these Zerglings coming in and a few unsieged tanks, this is pretty much this is the end for Justifier, I think. The mules are not mining, the Mutas are coming in. He's got more Mutas than I have Marines. This Zerg player has trounced me this game, and I'm going to be forced to just call GG here and try my luck in a different game. So I think I'll be calling it out. Yep, there it goes. I leave the game, and I believe this guy turned out to be a top 8 diamond, but of course those medals don't really mean much. I actually was myself top 8 diamond before I went on this losing streak back a month ago when I was doing pretty well against Zerg and Terran. But anyway, that is this episode. I hope you enjoyed it, and I do promise you that I will have better play in the future. So once again guys, thank you for watching, and I'll see you next time.